Most people are not trapped by circumstance, they're trapped by their own thoughts. You see, poverty doesn't start in the wallet, it starts in the mind. A man can live in a mansion and still think like he's in a cage if his vision never grows beyond his comfort. The problem isn't that life is too small, it's that we keep thinking small, acting small, and expecting something big to happen by accident. My friend, nothing big ever happens by accident. Dreaming small doesn't cost money, but it costs your future. You see, a small dream feels safe, but it's expensive. It costs you your potential. It costs you the thrill of becoming more. And the tragedy is, most people don't fail because they aim too high and miss. They fail because they aim too low and hit. So tonight, I want to challenge you. Stop shrinking your goals to fit your fear and start expanding your courage to match your destiny. You know, one of the greatest lessons I ever learned is that a man can never rise higher than the way he thinks. You can change your job, your house, even your wardrobe, but until you change what's happening between your ears, nothing truly changes. I've met people who lived in small towns, made small wages, but they didn't have small minds. And you could see it, the sparkle in their eyes, the way they talked about tomorrow. They were rich long before they ever made a dollar. And I've met others who lived in big houses, drove fine cars, but thought small, acted small, dreamed small, and their wealth always matched their thinking. See, poverty isn't the absence of money. It's the presence of limited thought. If you believe your life is capped, your potential capped, your earning capped, then you've already built the ceiling. You've already told your mind this is as far as we go. And the mind will obey that command. But here's the good news. You can raise the ceiling anytime you choose. You do it by feeding your mind new information, new conversations, new possibilities. Because your income, your influence, your results, they can only grow to the level that your mind allows. I remember when I was younger, I used to think, if I could just make a little more, everything would change. But then I met a man who told me, young man, you need to make your mind richer before your wallet will ever be. Not because it had secrets about money, but because it forced me to think differently. Every page whispered, there's more. That book opened a door, and once your mind walks through a bigger door, it never fits back into its old frame. That's the power of expanded thinking. See, small thinking says, I can't afford it. Big thinking asks, how can I afford it? Small thinking says, I'm not smart enough. Big thinking says, who can teach me? Small thinking sees obstacles, big thinking sees opportunities disguised as challenges. The rich don't avoid problems, they outthink them. They see beyond the immediate discomfort and look toward the potential reward. You can start today, 30 minutes a day of feeding your mind something worthy of your future. Read the biographies of people who started with less than you and finished with more than you thought possible. Listen to their stories, not just for motivation, but for perspective. When you realize others have climbed mountains taller than yours, your excuses start to shrink. And don't forget the company you keep. If you spend all your time with people who think small, complain daily, and laugh at big ideas, they'll slowly convince you that playing small is wisdom. But spend time with people who stretch you, who ask you uncomfortable questions, who make you feel a little inadequate in the best way possible. Those are the people who will lift your ceiling higher than you ever imagined. Every breakthrough starts with a thought that says, what if I could? What if I tried? What if there's more? And when that thought becomes a belief, everything else starts to shift. Your habits change. Your goals change. Your results change. Because once the mind sees new possibility, it refuses to go back to average. So, if you want to change your fortune, Start with your philosophy, because your thinking builds the ceiling, and the moment you lift it, your entire life begins to rise with it. You can always tell the size of a person's future by the size of the questions they ask. See, poor thinking isn't just about what we believe, it's about what we ask ourselves every day. Small thinkers ask, how much will this cost? Big thinkers ask, what is the value? The difference sounds subtle, but it shapes your destiny. Because when you ask small questions, your mind gives you small answers. When you ask big ones, your mind expands to meet the challenge. The rich don't have bigger brains, they have better questions. When I first began my journey, I used to ask questions like, why is life so hard? Why can't I catch a break? And the problem with those questions was, they were disempowering. They gave my brain no direction except to look for excuses. Then one day, a mentor told me, don't ask why things happen, ask how you can change them. That one idea flipped a switch in my head. I started asking, how can I make things better? What skills do I need to learn? Who can I model? And you know what happened? Life started answering. See, your mind is like a search engine. It's always listening. Feed it the wrong question, and it'll give you reasons. Feed it the right question, and it'll give you results. The rich never stop asking questions that expand their thinking. When they look at an investment, they don't say, can I afford this? They say, how can I make this work? When they see a challenge, they don't say, is it risky? They ask, what's the opportunity in this risk? It's a different mindset. Small thinkers stop at the price tag. Big thinkers look at the potential. Because everything worth having comes with a cost, but if the value outweighs the cost, it's not an expense, it's an investment. When I was broke, someone offered me a seminar ticket for $35. And I thought, $35? That's groceries for a week. I almost said no. But something inside me whispered, what if this could change everything? I decided to go. That single day introduced me to ideas, strategies, and people that changed the entire trajectory of my life. Was it expensive at the time? Yes. But the value I received was worth millions. I didn't pay $35, I invested $35. You see the difference? Poor people spend, the rich invest in themselves, in ideas, in relationships. It's not that the rich have fewer fears or fewer doubts, they just ask questions that keep them moving forward. Instead of asking, what if it doesn't work? They ask, what if it does? That one shift transforms hesitation into action. And the more you act on opportunity, the more opportunity shows up. Start training your mind today to ask better questions. When you face a setback, don't ask, why me? Ask, what is this teaching me? When a door closes, don't say, what did I lose? Say, what can I build instead? And every morning, open your journal and ask one powerful question that makes you think. Something like, how can I double my value this year? Or what would my life look like if I truly went all in? Remember, the quality of your life will always follow the quality of your questions. The poor ask questions that justify their limits. The rich ask questions that expand their possibilities. So if you want a bigger future, start asking bigger questions. Because the moment you do, your mind begins to build a bigger life to match them. Most people don't fail because their dreams are too big. They fail because their effort is too small. Somewhere along the way, life teaches us to shrink. We start with big dreams when we're young. We want to build, explore, change the world, but then someone says, be realistic. And slowly, we begin to trade our imagination for comfort. We stop reaching, stop risking, stop believing that we can grow into something greater. But here's the truth. Your dream isn't supposed to get smaller. You are supposed to grow until you can carry it. When I first began to chase success, I made the same mistake most people do. I tried to fit my goals into the limits of who I was instead of expanding who I was to meet my goals. I would set small targets because they felt safe, because I didn't want to feel the sting of failure. But safe goals never changed me. They never inspired me. They just kept me where I was, comfortable but unsatisfied. Then I learned that it's better to be intimidated by your vision than bored by your routine. If your goals don't make you a little nervous, they're too small. The wealthy understand this. They don't ask, can I do this? They ask, what must I become to do this? Because success is not about getting what you want, it's about growing into someone who can handle it. When your dream feels too heavy, don't put it down. Build stronger shoulders. Don't ask life for less difficulty, ask yourself for more discipline. The dream doesn't get easier, but you can get better. Start by writing down one goal that truly stretches you, something that excites you and scares you at the same time. Maybe it's building a business, reaching a new income level, or achieving financial independence. Don't worry about the how yet. That comes later. Just decide that the vision is worth the effort. Then, break that goal into small, consistent steps, daily habits that make success inevitable over time. Because every big dream is built in small pieces. You don't build a mansion in one day. You lay a single brick perfectly every day. When I was starting out, I wrote a goal that seemed impossible for where I was financially. I wanted to become financially independent, to not depend on a paycheck, but on my own value. It was terrifying to even write it down, but I decided to act like it was possible each day. I studied, sold, saved, and learned. For months, I didn't see much change. But one day, the results caught up with the effort. What once felt impossible became inevitable. Because consistent effort compounds like money, it grows silently, then suddenly. Every Sunday, sit down with your journal and measure your progress. Not in perfection, but in persistence. Don't ask, did I hit my goal? Ask, did I move closer? If you're off track, don't shrink the goal to match your effort. Increase your effort to match your goal. Adjust your discipline, not your desire. Success belongs to those who stay loyal to their vision even when it's uncomfortable. You were never meant to live a small life. You were meant to expand, to stretch, to grow. So stop asking your dreams to shrink for your convenience. Expand yourself to match their greatness. Because when your habits finally catch up to your vision, that's when transformation begins. That's when you stop surviving and start thriving. One of the greatest traps that steals peace and progress from people is comparison. You see, most people aren't unhappy because they aren't growing. They're unhappy because someone else seems to be growing faster. They scroll through social media, look at their neighbor's house, their colleague's promotion, or their friend's vacation, and suddenly their own blessings don't look as bright. But comparison is a thief, not just of joy, but of momentum. It makes you question your journey and abandon your lane. The truth is, you can't build confidence while constantly measuring yourself against someone else's highlight reel. The rich and the wise know this. They measure differently. They don't compare, they calculate. They don't ask, am I doing better than him? They ask, am I doing better than I was? That's the secret. Progress, not comparison, is the true scoreboard of success. Because comparison will always shrink your gratitude, but growth will always expand your confidence. When I first started building my life, I used to look at others and think, they're ahead, I'm behind. It made me frustrated, sometimes even bitter. But one day, a mentor said, you're running the wrong race. He told me the only person you need to beat is the man you were yesterday. That one sentence changed everything. From that day on, I stopped trying to catch up to others and started focusing on becoming a better version of myself. That's when progress started to feel peaceful, not pressured. Every month, take time to measure your own growth, not just in income, but in habits, knowledge, and mindset. Are you saving more than you did 6 months ago? Are your skills sharper? Is your discipline stronger? Those are the true signs of wealth. Money comes and goes, but growth, real personal growth, that's wealth that never leaves. Because when you improve yourself, you automatically improve your results. Here's a practice that will change your perspective. Every quarter, reflect on how far you've come. Write it down. Don't just think it, see it. Maybe you've read 10 books, built an emergency fund, or learned to control your emotions when challenges come. That's growth, and growth deserves celebration. Most people never acknowledge progress because they're too busy chasing perfection. But when you celebrate growth, you reinforce progress. You build inner confidence that keeps you moving forward. Remember, someone will always have more money, more time, more talent. But that's not your business. Your business is to maximize what you've been given. A tree doesn't look at the forest and feel small. It just keeps growing taller toward the light. You don't have to outgrow everyone, just outgrow yourself. So the next time you're tempted to compare, pause and measure growth instead. Ask yourself, am I a little wiser, stronger, or more disciplined than I was a year ago? If the answer is yes, then you're winning. Because in the end, the only real competition is between your potential and your excuses. And when growth becomes your measurement, comparison loses all its power. If you ever want to change your life, change your environment. Because your surroundings shape your standards. Your associations determine your acceleration. You can't think big while spending all your time around people who defend small. You can't dream freely while surrounded by those who worship comfort. The truth is, your environment either expands your imagination or suffocates it. And the rich, they know this. They guard their associations like treasure because they understand that proximity is power. When I was struggling, I didn't just lack money, I lacked perspective. I was surrounded by people who thought in terms of survival, not success. And when you spend enough time hearing it's too hard, that'll never work, or people like us don't get rich, you start to believe it. Their limits become your limits. One day, I met a man who lived differently. He thought differently, talked differently, walked differently. His goals made me uncomfortable. His confidence made me question mine. But something about his presence stirred something in me. He challenged my excuses. He didn't accept my small talk. He spoke to my potential, not my comfort. That was the moment I realized how powerful association truly is. You've probably heard the saying, you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. It's true. If you spend your time with complainers, you'll start to complain. Spend your time with producers, and you'll start to produce. We unconsciously adapt to the temperature of our environment. So, if your circle feels too easy, it's a sign you've outgrown it. Comfort is not friendship, it's stagnation. You need people who challenge your limits, not protect them. Seek out bigger thinkers, people who ask what's next instead of what's safe. Join a mastermind, a business network, or a mentorship group. You don't need to be the smartest person in the room. In fact, you shouldn't be. The moment you're always the most knowledgeable person in your circle, your growth has plateaued. Be humble enough to learn and bold enough to seek those who intimidate you with their discipline and success. At the same time, be intentional about pruning your conversations. You don't have to cut people out of your life entirely, but you do need to limit access. Reduce time spent with those who only talk about problems, gossip, or negativity. Not because you're better than them, but because your future deserves protection. Every minute spent in low-value conversation is a minute stolen from your dreams. Spend more time with people doing what you aspire to do, not those talking about what they wish they'd done. Study their habits, their routines, their mindset. You'll notice something. They don't complain about time, opportunity, or luck. They create those things. They think differently about risk, effort, and value. And if you're around them long enough, their mindset starts to rub off on you. You begin to see possibilities where you once saw problems. So here's the question. Who do you need to spend more time with, and who do you need to spend less time with? Your future is being shaped by the voices you listen to today. Surround yourself with bigger thinkers, people who make you stretch, people who expect more from you than you expect from yourself. Because when your circle gets bigger, your dreams will too. And when your environment rises, you can't help but rise with it. There's a law in life that most people overlook, the law of momentum. You can't think your way into expansion, you have to act your way into it. The longer you wait, the smaller you stay. You can read all the books, attend all the seminars, listen to all the podcasts, but until you take the first uncomfortable step, nothing changes. Thought is important. It creates the vision, but action gives it life. And once motion begins, it has a way of multiplying itself. Growth loves momentum. When I was younger, I spent months studying success, reading about wealth, taking notes on strategy. I had a head full of ideas, but my life wasn't changing. Then one day, a mentor asked me a simple question. What have you done with all that information? I didn't have an answer. He said, knowledge without action is like planting seeds and never watering them. It looks smart, but it grows nothing. That moment hit me hard. I realized I was preparing endlessly, but never starting. The truth is, you don't need perfect timing, perfect tools, or perfect clarity to move forward. You just need to begin. The rich understand this principle deeply. They don't wait for conditions to be ideal. They create conditions through consistent motion. They know that clarity is born from movement, not the other way around. When they start a business, make an investment, or learn a new skill, they begin with imperfect steps, then refine as they go. The poor wait until it's the right time. But here's the irony. Waiting for the perfect moment is the surest way to miss every moment. Start where you are with what you have. Don't underestimate small beginnings. Every empire began with one brave decision. Maybe it's a phone call you've been putting off, a project you've delayed, or a budget you've been avoiding. Act on it today. Take one uncomfortable step, because discomfort is the birthplace of progress. The first step is always the hardest, but it's also the one that unlocks the rest. Once you move, momentum takes over. I live by what I call the no 0 days rule. It means every day, no matter how small the action, you do something that moves you forward. Something for your health, your wealth. It doesn't have to be dramatic. Read a chapter, make a call, invest $1, plan a goal. One action a day compounds into transformation. The discipline of consistency is far more powerful than the illusion of perfection. And as you move, take time each week to review your wins. Look back at what you accomplished, even the little things, because motion creates motivation. Progress, no matter how small, fuels your desire to keep going. The reason most people quit isn't because they can't do it, it's because they forget how far they've come. Reflecting on progress keeps your energy alive and your belief strong. Remember this, hesitation kills more dreams than failure ever will. Action is the great separator, the line between those who wish and those who win. Don't wait for inspiration to strike, create it through movement. The moment you start, the universe seems to move with you. Doors open, people appear, opportunities align, but only for the mover, not the dreamer. So act now. Pick one thing, one step, and do it today. Don't promise yourself you'll start tomorrow. Tomorrow has stolen more success stories than fear ever could. Start, stumble if you must, but move, because growth loves momentum, and once you begin, life will meet you halfway. When you start thinking like the rich, you realize that life isn't lived in weeks or months, it's lived in decades. Most people plan for Friday, the next paycheck, or the next holiday, but wealth and freedom require foresight. The rich plan not for the next meal, but for the next decade, the next generation, and the legacy they will leave. They understand that short-term decisions can either build or break long-term vision. It's not about being obsessed with the distant future at the expense of today, but about letting every action you take now align with the life you want to live 10, 20, or 30 years from now. I remember when I first started working seriously on my finances. I was chasing paychecks and worried about the next bill. It never occurred to me that thinking small was a trap. Then a mentor asked me, "Hasib, where do you want to be in 10 years? I had no answer. That moment changed me. From that day, I began drafting long-term visions. Not just numbers, but the kind of lifestyle I wanted, the people I wanted to surround myself with, the freedom I wanted to have. Once you shift your thinking from days to decades, your spending, saving, and investing decisions change automatically. Every purchase is questioned. Every investment is scrutinized. Every habit is evaluated for its long-term impact. The rich use their long-term vision as a filter. Before spending, they ask, will this matter in 5 years? It's a simple question, but it reshapes priorities. Impulse spending fades when the mind is trained to think about decades, not dollars. Investments become opportunities to build lasting income rather than momentary thrills. Every action, no matter how small, compounds like interest over time. And just as money compounds, so do skills, relationships, and reputation, all of which are more valuable than cash alone. Habits matter more than motivation, because motivation is fleeting. The rich develop daily routines that align with their decades-long goals. They read, they invest, they learn, they plan, and they act consistently. They understand that wealth is rarely created overnight. It is the result of steady, intelligent choices made over years. By extending your horizon, you naturally resist short-term temptations because you see the bigger picture, your freedom, your options, and your legacy. So today, think beyond today. Draft a 10-year vision, then a 20 and 30-year vision. Ask yourself every time you make a choice, will this matter 5 years from now? Let your habits, your spending, and your learning be guided by decades, not days. Build slowly, wisely, and consistently. Because freedom and wealth belong to those who plan for decades, not merely for paychecks. When we talk about building wealth, it's not enough to focus on how much money comes into your pocket each month. That's just survival. Working for wages will pay your bills, keep a roof over your head, and provide temporary comfort, but it will never build true freedom. True wealth comes from equity, from owning assets that continue working for you even when you're not working. When I first realized this, it changed the way I approached money and effort. I understood that trading hours for dollars puts a ceiling on your life, but trading money, time, or skill for ownership creates leverage that compounds over time. Equity is the bridge between effort and freedom. When you own a stake in a business, real estate, or stocks, you're no longer confined to the constraints of your paycheck. The income isn't tied to your presence. It grows while you sleep, while you travel, or while you focus on new opportunities. I remember investing in my first small business equity early in my career. At the time, it seemed risky because it required cash I could have used for immediate expenses, but I recognized it as a long-term vehicle for freedom. Over the years, the returns from that single investment multiplied, not because of luck, but because of the principle of ownership. The strategy is simple but requires discipline. First, identify assets that have potential to appreciate or generate recurring income. That might be real estate, stocks, mutual funds, or ownership in a small business. Second, allocate a fixed percentage of your income, I recommend starting with 20%, toward growing this equity. Treat it like a non-negotiable investment, not a gamble. Third, measure progress. Each month, track your ownership percentages and returns. Ask yourself, am I increasing my stake or am I just working harder for someone else's asset? Ownership teaches patience and discipline because equity doesn't deliver instant gratification. But every contribution compounds and every decision builds leverage. As your equity grows, so does your freedom. You gain options, the choice to retire early, pursue passion projects, or reinvest in bigger opportunities. Remember, working for wages gives you temporary comfort. Building equity gives you lasting freedom. The key is to think like an owner, act like a builder, and stay consistent in growing your stakes. The sooner you prioritize equity over income, the sooner your money begins to work for you rather than the other way around. Focus on ownership. Build equity. Let your assets grow silently while you expand your vision. True wealth is built in stakes, not hours. Every dollar you earn has more potential when paired with knowledge. I've seen people toil for years, working long hours, yet their wealth barely grows because they rely solely on effort. The rich understand a fundamental principle. Learning is the lever that multiplies income. Every new skill, every insight into markets, negotiation, or business strategy creates a new avenue to earn, save, and invest. In my early career, I devoted at least an hour daily to study, sometimes reading books on business, personal development, or finance. That small daily investment in knowledge compounded faster than any paycheck. But learning without application is like planting seeds in barren soil. Knowledge becomes valuable only when applied. The next step is turning what you learn into real-world action. If you read about investing, open a small account and test the principles. If you study negotiation, use it in your business or career immediately. I remember attending a seminar on sales techniques. Within 24 hours, I implemented a new approach with a client, and the results were immediate. The lesson was clear. Speed of application transforms learning into profit. Consistency is key. Dedicate time every day to growing your mind, not just your bank account. Track what you learn and connect it to tangible results. Ask yourself, which of these lessons increased my earning potential this week? Over time, the linkage between knowledge and income becomes undeniable. Learning without application is wasted potential. Action without understanding is blind effort. Combine both and you begin to see exponential growth. Finally, measure the returns from your education. Maintain a simple journal, connecting every skill or insight to an income-producing outcome. Maybe a course led to a better investment decision, or a negotiation tactic increased your salary or business revenue. Recognize these connections and repeat the process relentlessly. The rich aren't necessarily the smartest. They are the most disciplined in learning and applying knowledge. Commit yourself to becoming a professional learner. Treat each hour of study as an investment in your future earnings. Apply what you learn immediately. Track the results and refine your approach. Turn every lesson into $1, every insight into action. When learning becomes earning, Your wealth grows not by luck, but by design. In my experience, wealth isn't built on motivation, it's built on systems. Motivation comes and goes, but a system keeps working whether you feel inspired or not. Most people spend their money on autopilot. Bills, coffee, subscriptions, impulse buys. The rich, however, automate their growth. Every dollar that can work for you should be put to work before you even see it. That's the philosophy of automating wealth, not waste. It's not about restricting life, it's about directing resources toward outcomes that compound over time. The strategy is simple. Make saving and investing automatic. When I first started, I set up automatic transfers from my checking account to savings and investment accounts on payday. I didn't wait to see if there was money left over. I decided that growth comes first. That habit, repeated month after month, created a snowball effect that eventually accelerated faster than any sporadic effort could. Automation removes the emotional decision. You don't have to rely on willpower to save, the system does it for you. Reinvesting is just as crucial. Dividends, interest, profits, they all need to be automatically redeployed into growth. When I invested in stocks and business ventures, I made a rule to reinvest everything for several years. That simple practice transforms small contributions into substantial wealth because compounding doesn't wait for you to feel disciplined. It only rewards action, consistency, and time. Quarterly reviews are also essential. Automation doesn't mean negligence. I would review my systems every few months to ensure allocations were still optimal, expenses weren't creeping in, and opportunities for faster growth weren't being missed. Adjusting a percentage here or there, rebalancing a portfolio, or redirecting funds from a slow asset to a faster one kept my system efficient. The point is this: wealth should work for you automatically. Remove friction, remove emotion, remove indecision. Let your money move into growth while you focus on increasing your skills, adding value, and pursuing opportunities. Systems amplify effort. Automation multiplies results. Start today. Set up your automatic savings, investments, and reinvestments. Let your future self thank you. Wealth built on systems lasts longer than wealth built on willpower. Time is the one currency you can never earn back, and yet most people squander it like it's endless. The rich understand this at a fundamental level. Money can be regained, but time lost is gone forever. I remember early in my career, I treated my hours carelessly. Long meetings that went nowhere, tasks I could have delegated, and hours lost scrolling or worrying. It wasn't until I started treating time like $1 million asset that I began to see exponential results. Every hour, when invested wisely, compounds just like money. The strategy is clear. Focus on creation, learning, and leverage. Identify which activities produce value and which simply consume energy. I recommend auditing your week in detail, hour by hour, for 1 month. Write down what you do and classify it as high, medium, or low value. Most people are shocked to see how much time is lost to tasks that add no real returns, both financial and personal. That's where discipline begins. Eliminate the low-value hours, delegate when possible, and protect the time that fuels growth. Scheduling a daily creation hour changed everything for me. During this hour, I focus purely on producing something, writing, planning, learning, or strategizing. Nothing else intrudes. It's the hour that drives momentum, generates ideas, and builds long-term wealth. It doesn't have to be long, but it has to be consistent. Compound these small blocks of high-value time over months and years, and the results become extraordinary. Outsourcing low-impact tasks is another critical step. I've learned that trying to do everything yourself not only wastes time, but also limits growth. From administrative work to routine chores, freeing yourself to focus on strategic, high-value actions is essential. Think of time as a lever. What you focus on multiplies, and what you delegate multiplies even further because it frees you to apply your unique skills. Guarding your hours fiercely is the ultimate act of wealth thinking. Say no to distractions, trivial meetings, and unproductive social obligations. Protect your time as you would your capital, because compounding ideas, relationships, and income all rely on it. Start today. Audit your schedule, carve out your creation hour, and treat each hour as $1 million asset. Time once invested pays dividends beyond what money alone can buy. When I talk about wealth, I'm not just talking about the numbers in your bank account. True wealth is measured by the impact you leave behind, by the legacy that continues to grow long after you're gone. Too many people chase lifestyle, the next car, the bigger house, the luxury vacation, thinking that possessions define success. But possessions are fleeting, and lifestyle fades. The rich think differently. They understand that building a legacy is the only path to enduring influence and security. I've seen families where money vanished within a generation simply because there was no system to preserve it or knowledge to multiply it. The strategy is simple but profound. Design wealth to outlast you. Start by creating an estate plan, not just for tax purposes, but as a roadmap for your family's financial security. More importantly, build a financial education system for those who will inherit your resources. Teach principles, not just provide funds. I remember early in my career, I invested time mentoring young people, not just with money, but with knowledge. The lessons they carried forward multiplied their success far beyond anything I could give them directly. Mentorship becomes a form of wealth transfer that compounds faster than capital. Each year, commit to mentoring at least one person. Share what you know, expose them to networks, and guide them in thinking big. This practice not only amplifies your impact, but also reinforces your own understanding. Real influence grows when others rise through the wisdom you provide. Use your wealth to build something that endures, a business, a foundation, or an institution that continues to deliver value, education, or opportunity. Think beyond your lifespan. Luxury may bring temporary satisfaction, but systems, principles, and institutions outlive the individual. The rich understand this, and their wealth is never measured solely in dollars. It's measured in the ongoing impact of what they leave behind. Start today. Decide what kind of legacy you want. Take steps to educate, mentor, and create systems that endure. Don't chase fleeting pleasure. Build permanence. Your wealth is only as powerful as the legacy it supports. As we come to the close of this conversation, I want you to understand something fundamental. Wealth is not simply a number in your bank account. True wealth is measured by your ability to live freely, think clearly, and leave a lasting impact. Most people chase what is easy, what is flashy, or what is immediate, and they wake up years later wondering where their life went. The rich, however, understand a simple principle. The path to abundance is built on discipline, education, and vision. It is not about luck. It is about choices made consistently over time, choices that compound into freedom and influence. Every decision you make today either brings you closer to wealth or pulls you away from it. If you invest in yourself, your skills, and your knowledge, you create an asset that compounds endlessly. If you manage your money wisely, automating savings and reinvesting returns, you ensure that your resources work as hard as you do, even when you sleep. If you carefully surround yourself with people who lift you higher, your mindset expands, your habits improve, and your opportunities multiply. Wealth is never just about money. It is the sum of your decisions, your environment, and your ability to act when others hesitate. I want you to see your life as a business and yourself as the CEO. Every dollar, every hour, every relationship is an investment. Track them carefully, protect them diligently, and grow them strategically. Avoid the traps of impulsive spending, unnecessary debt, and comparison to others. Instead, invest in assets, acquire skills, and think long-term. Build systems that produce wealth automatically, and build habits that sustain your growth. Remember, small thinking will keep you small forever, but big thinking expands your ceiling. The most important step, however, is to act. Knowledge without action is wasted. Momentum is a wealth-building machine. Take one step today that your future self will thank you for. Write down your vision, define your goals, and take measurable action. Protect your time, protect your money, and protect your mind from distractions. Teach others, mentor someone younger, and begin the process of building a legacy. Because wealth that dies with you is no wealth at all. Your real success is measured by what continues after you. Systems, principles, people, and opportunities multiplied. So here is my call to action. Decide today that you will no longer drift. Decide today that you will raise your standards, think bigger, act smarter, and protect what matters. Write down your wealth principles, automate growth, invest in yourself, and begin mentoring or teaching someone else. Measure every decision by the long-term impact it will create. And every night, ask yourself, did I move closer to freedom today? Remember, the journey to wealth is not an event, it is a lifestyle. It is the decisions you make, the knowledge you acquire, and the legacy you build. Start now, think bigger, act decisively, and let your life be a testament to the power of vision, discipline, and action. Your future begins the moment you take responsibility for today.